What if, like, a single object held the power to resurrect the fallen, bestow divine wisdom, and even defeat cosmic evil?
Hmm.
And what if it chose its wielder based purely on their character? That's a concept that really sparks the imagination, isn't it?
It really does.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where today we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most powerful and I think symbolically rich artifacts in the Transformers universe, the Matrix of Leadership.
Yeah, and you've given us quite the stack of sources today. We've got articles, some really deep lore analyses, even some of your own notes, which look fascinating.
Right.
So our mission really is to navigate this complex kind of multiversal tapestry.
Yeah, cut through the noise.
Exactly. Cut through the different versions, the surprising twists, and give you a hopefully comprehensive understanding. We're talking origins, powers, who wielded it, some unexpected folks there, and what it all means.
You are going to walk away from this deep dive with some serious insights. Ready to talk about the Matrix like a true Cybertronian scholar? It's an artifact that genuinely defines destiny. So let's unpack this thing.
Okay, so the Matrix of Leadership. First thing to get is that we're not just talking about like another gadget or weapon.
Right.
At its very core, it's almost always depicted as a divine artifact. Many stories describe it having this direct link to Primus, the Cybertronian creator god.
Okay.
Some say it contains an ember of Primus's essence, or sometimes it's even portrayed as his literal soul.
Wow.
So that makes it way more than just tech. It's a sacred relic, really central to their whole spirituality.
That's a powerful idea right off the bat. So if it's got this divine link, how far back are we talking? Does it go right back to the beginning, the first Transformers?
It absolutely does, yeah.
Yeah.
It's consistently linked to the original 13 Prime.
The originals, okay.
Yeah, the very first Transformers Prime is created. The Matrix often works as this like vast library or repository. It holds their collective wisdom, their memories, all their experiences.
Passed down through generations.
Exactly, passed down. And Prima, who was the leader of that first group of 13, he's usually shown as the very first bearer. He kind of sets the precedent for leadership.
And speaking of Prime, that title itself, it
Right.
seems like it means different things in different stories, right? Does holding the Matrix automatically make you a Prime? Or is it more complicated?
That's where it gets really interesting, actually. The definition of Prime is super fluid across the different continuities.
Okay.
Sometimes, yeah, it signifies a direct lineage. Like you inherit the title from the original 13,
Right.
an inherited right almost.
Like royalty.
Kind of, yeah. But then in other versions, Prime is explicitly a rank or a title that the Matrix itself bestows. It gives it to someone who's proven themselves worthy, through some act of sacrifice or character. And this flexibility, this fluidity, lets writers do different things with characters like Optimus Prime. His path to becoming Prime isn't always the same.
Visually, what does it usually look like? I always picture that, the glowing ball with the handles.
That's definitely the most common look.
Yeah.
A glowing crystal sphere, usually inside a hollow metal shell, often with those handles so a Transformer can hold it.
Right.
But the design definitely varies. You look at the Bayverse, live action movies,
Yeah.
the Matrix there has been described more like a weaponized tool, which is pretty different from the classic G1 Generation 1 look, which is much more mystical, almost magical. And the size changes too. Sometimes it looks huge, like a human can step inside it. Other times it's more compact.
Okay, so if that's the outside, what does the lore say is inside? Inside that glowing crystal. Is it just pure energy, or?
Well, the internal lore describes it in some pretty cool ways. It's often said to have a crystal lattice housing the primal program,
Primal program, okay.
or it functions as a database of infinite wisdom. There are even some deep cuts suggesting it was originally a jewel on the hilt of Prima's sword, the Star Saber.
Wow, really?
Yeah, before becoming its own separate artifact, which just points to how ancient and foundational it is.
It sounds incredibly powerful, but it's not the only big artifact in the Transformers universe, is it? What about things like the Allspark or Vector Sigma? They all sound kind of fundamental.
That's a great question, because their relationships can be a bit fuzzy sometimes, depending on the continuity.
Right.
The Matrix's connection to artifacts like the Allspark, which is usually seen as the source of all Cybertronian life, the wellspring.
Giving the sparks.
Exactly. And Vector Sigma, often described as Primus's mind, or like this giant supercomputer.
Yeah.
That relationship varies. Sometimes the Matrix is seen as the thing that channels Primus's power, while the Allspark is the direct source of life. And Vector Sigma maybe gives them their personalities or sparks life into the bodies. It shows how the lore is interconnected, but also sometimes fragmented, you know?
Yeah, different writers, different takes.
Exactly. Like in the Bay movies, the Allspark often feels like the main creation engine, and the Matrix has a more specific job, like being a key or doing that direct resurrection thing.
Okay, so given its, divine spark and all that ancient wisdom,
Mhm.
what can this thing actually do? What are its main powers, besides just picking a leader?
Right, the powers, that's where its real utility comes in. One of the most consistent ones is giving and restoring life.
Resurrection.
Pretty much. It can reignite a Transformer's life spark, bring them back from the dead,
Mhm.
effectively. We saw that with Optimus in Revenge of the Fallen, and apparently in the upcoming Transformers 1 too.
Oh, interesting.
And it brought Sentinel Prime back in Dark of the Moon.
So it's the ultimate reboot button for giant robots. That's a huge tool for storytelling. And it's also like a giant library, right? Full of knowledge.
Precisely. A massive repository of wisdom. It holds the memories, the experiences of all the past Autobot leaders.
Wow.
So whoever holds it can tap into that accumulated wisdom. Sometimes they even get visions, which is obviously crucial when you're leading in desperate times.
And it does more than just give wisdom.
Oh yeah. Beyond wisdom, a worthy wielder often gets a significant power boost. Strength, wisdom, sometimes even a physical transformation.
Like Hot Rod becoming Rodimus Prime.
Exactly like Hot Rod becoming Rodimus Prime. That's the classic example. And in Transformers 1, they're even showing it restoring everyone's transformation cogs, which is pretty fundamental for them.
Wow. Okay, so not just knowledge, it's a full upgrade package. But there's this other power it's famous for, something way bigger, cosmic scale. What makes it the ultimate weapon against Unicron?
Unicron. Yeah, this taps into its ultimate purpose, maybe? It's consistently shown as the only thing that can really stop or harm or even destroy Unicron.
The Chaos Bringer.
The Chaos Bringer himself. And the reason usually given is that direct, inherent connection to Primus. Primus and Unicron are cosmic opposites, right? Order and chaos. Life and anti-life.
So the Matrix channels Primus's power against him.
Essentially, yes. The pure life-giving energy of the Matrix versus Unicron's destructive chaos. It's the absolute countermeasure.
Okay, if it's that powerful, life, death, stopping Unicron, can just anyone pick it up and use it? Seems like there should be a catch.
Ah, yes. The catch. And it's a big one. The worthiness requirement.
You're right.
This is absolutely key. The Matrix can only be fully opened, its true energies unleashed, by an Autobot leader who is destined for it, and, crucially, deemed worthy. Usually by Primus, implicitly or explicitly.
So if you're unworthy.
If you're unworthy, even if you physically get your hands on it, you might find it just doesn't work. It's unresponsive. Or worse, it can actually corrupt you, twist your body and mind.
Like who? Any examples?
Oh yeah. We see Sentinel Prime explicitly rejected by it in Transformers 1. And think back to the G1 cartoon. The Decepticon Scourge tried to use its power, and it hideously twisted him.
Right, I remember that.
So it has this moral filter. It emphasizes that true leadership isn't just about power or ambition, it's about character.
A selflessness.
I see. So it almost feels like it behaves like a MacGuffin sometimes in the stories.
Yeah.
You know, its powers kind of adapt to what the plot needs.
It absolutely can function that way. Yeah. Connecting this to the bigger picture, it often serves as what we call a MacGuffin in storytelling.
Right.
Its powers can suddenly shift or expand to fit the immediate plot needs. It often shows up to light the Autobots' darkest hour, sometimes in ways you didn't expect.
Gives the writers flexibility.
Exactly. It lets them introduce new abilities or limitations as the story requires, keeping things, interesting.
Okay, given all that power and that worthiness clause, let's talk about some of the wielders, the famous ones, maybe some surprising ones. Where does the tradition start? Well, the tradition, like we touched on, really begins with Primus, leader of the original 13 Primes. He's consistently named as the very first bearer. He sets the stage.
And then, of course, the icon, the one everyone thinks of first.
Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Has to be. He's arguably the most frequent wielder.
Really.
And getting the Matrix is often the moment he transforms from, like, the humble Orion Pax into the leader Optimus Prime. That's a cornerstone of his origin in so many versions.
But how he gets it changes.
Oh yeah, it varies quite a bit. In the aligned continuity, the games, he gets it right from Cybertron's core, from Primus.
All right.
In the Bayverse, he's kind of primed by lineage first, and then he uses the Matrix later to revive himself. But the constant is his worthiness, his self-sacrifice. That's why the Matrix accepts him.
But then there are the really unexpected ones, like Hot Rod. He seemed like such a, hot-headed kid at first.
Yes. Hot Rod becoming Rodimus Prime in the '86 movie is such a pivotal moment.
Huge.
After Optimus seems to die, He tries to pass it to Ultra Magnus, but it's Hot Rod who's ultimately deemed worthy. That transforms him into Rodimus, and crucially, that lets him destroy Unicron.
Wait, you mentioned Ultra Magnus. He couldn't open it. But he was Optimus's second in command, totally respected, loyal.
That's a really key detail. It totally underscores how discerning the Matrix is. Optimus tries to pass it to Magnus, but Magnus just can't open it.
Wow.
He tells you that, yeah, he was capable, loyal, a great soldier, but maybe not destined for that ultimate leadership mantle, according to the Matrix. It looks beyond just rank or competence.
And it gets even wilder. Didn't some humans wield it at some point?
Indeed. Which is fascinating, right? Its power isn't strictly limited to Cybertronians.
How does that work?
Well, in Revenge of the Fallen, Sam Witwicky is deemed worthy by the spirits of the old Primes because he was willing to sacrifice himself. That allows him to use it, bring Optimus back. And even in the Marvel Comics, humans like Buster Witwicky and even G.I. Joe's General Hawk in a crossover temporarily tapped into the power of what was then called the Creation Matrix.
So worthiness transcends species. It's about character.
Exactly. It really focuses on those inherent moral qualities, not just being a Cybertronian.
So what happens if an unworthy character tries? We mentioned Scourge getting twisted. Any others? Do they just get nothing, or is it worse?
It really highlights the Matrix's nature when it actively rejects or corrupts. Like we said, Sentinel Prime and Transformers 1 tries to seize it, and it just rejects him flat out. Because he's selfish, manipulative.
Right.
We mentioned Scourge getting physically twisted in G1, and the Marvel Comics had a Decepticon called Thunderwing.
Thundering.
Yeah, he managed to get hold of a corrupted version of the Creation Matrix, and it drove him completely mad. Turned him into this uncontrollable engine of destruction. So, yeah, trying to take it when you're unworthy, bad news. It reinforces its role as a moral judge.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and take a quick trip through the different continuities. See how the Matrix's role evolved, starting with the foundation, G1.
Right, Generation 1. So its big intro is Transformers. The movie in '86, that's where it's formally named, the Autobot Matrix of Leadership.
And its main job there.
Two things, really. It's the symbol of inherited leadership passed from Optimus, and most dramatically, it's the ultimate weapon against Unicron.
Got it.
Then later in the G1 cartoon series, Optimus comes back, and he famously uses its energy to cure the hate plague that was spreading across the universe.
Oh yeah, the hate plague, showcasing its restorative side.
Exactly, beyond just fighting. And in the Marvel Comics, remember, it started as the Creation Matrix. It was this powerful program inside Optimus's brain initially.
Creating new Transformers.
Yeah, and it could even be corrupted. Later, when they introduced Primus as the Transformer god in the comics, the Matrix got tied much more closely into that whole divine creation story.
Then we hit the Beast era, Beast Wars, Beast Machines. That felt like a real shift in how they treated the Matrix.
Oh, a huge shift. You're right. In the Beast era, that physical artifact from G1, it mostly becomes more like a legend or even a purely metaphysical idea.
Like not a physical object anymore.
Pretty much. The concept kind of morphs into representing the Cybertronian afterlife. The idea of all are one. It's where sparks come from and where they return.
So how did Optimus Primal lead?
Well, his leadership was often guided by visions or communicating with the Oracle, which was like this spiritual link to that bigger Matrix consciousness.
Yeah.
He wasn't really carrying around a physical Matrix artifact in the same way.
Interesting.
Now, there were things called energon matrices in some of the Japanese Beast era shows, but they often felt more like imitations or symbols, not the original G1 artifact itself.
Okay, then the Unicron trilogy, Armada, Energon, Cybertron, that era felt a bit inconsistent maybe. About the Matrix's importance.
Yeah, fluctuating is a good word for its role there.
Yeah.
It was definitely significant, but yeah, inconsistent. In Transformers Armada, Optimus uses it to absorb this massive blast from the Hydra cannon, sacrificing himself.
Only to come back later, of course.
Natural. And it was also key to uniting the Autobots and Decepticons against Unicron at the end of Armada. Showed its power to bring enemies together.
But then
in Energon, its role felt less central, more background. And by Cybertron, it was even less prominent. The Cyberplanet keys really took center stage as the main plot MacGuffins in that series.
Right, the keys were everything, and the live-action Bayverse films, it felt crucial in Revenge of the Fallen, but maybe faded after that.
That's a pretty accurate take, I think. In Revenge of the Fallen, yeah, it's central. Sam finds it, uses it to revive Optimus.
And the Decepticons wanted it too.
Right. They needed it as the key for the Star Harvester, so it had that dual nature life giver, but also potential catalyst for destruction. Then in Dark of the Moon, Optimus uses it again to revive Sentinel Prime.
Which backfired.
spectacularly.
Yeah.
But after that, in the later Bay films, its direct role really diminishes, and the whole idea of being a prime became more about lineage, ancestry, rather than holding the Matrix or being chosen for worthiness.
Then we have the aligned continuity Transformers Prime, the War for Cybertron games. That seemed like an attempt to bring some consistency back.
It definitely felt like it. The aligned continuity gives a much more consistent picture. In Prime, the show, Optimus uses it to defeat Unicron, who is basically Earth's core.
Right, but it cost him.
Big time. He loses his memories, reverts back to Orion Pax. They had to use Vector Sigma to restore him later, which really emphasizes the Matrix as this link to Primus and this huge store of knowledge.
And the games.
In the War for Cybertron games, we see Orion Pax actually get the Matrix directly from Cybertron's core. It's bestowed by Primus himself, and that's what physically transforms him into Optimus Prime.
A very direct origin. And the newest version, which is really fresh right now, is in Transformers 1.
Yeah, Transformers 1 gives us a totally fresh origin story. It weaves the Matrix right into the early days of Cybertron, and crucially into that relationship between Orion Pax and D16, who becomes Megatron.
Central to Optimus's transformation again.
Absolutely central. And the movie makes a big point of showing it rejects Sentinel Prime because he's selfish. It feels incredibly powerful in this version. Revives Optimus, restores everyone's T-Cogs, ensures the energon flows.
Yeah.
It's fundamental.
So, pulling back again, beyond all these specific powers and plot points across all the different versions, what does the matrix of leadership really mean? What's its ultimate symbolic significance in this universe?
Well, I think at its core, the Matrix really embodies those fundamental Autobot ideals, justice, freedom, continuity.
Hope.
Definitely hope. Its passage from one worthy leader to the next signifies that the Autobot spirit endures. That beacon, especially like the old saying goes, in the Autobot's darkest hour.
And it's more than just tech.
Way more. It's that profound link to Primus, the creator. Even to the Cybertronian afterlife, that whole all-or-one idea from the Beast era, that elevates it to something genuinely sacred spiritual.
It almost sounds like a Deus Ex Machina sometimes, though. Like it can solve any problem. Does that make things too easy for the writers? Create challenges.
That's a really sharp point, actually.
Yeah.
Because its immense power can be a double-edged sword, narratively speaking.
Yeah.
It often does function as a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Solving problems that seem impossible. But that power also presents a challenge. If the Matrix can fix anything, it kind of lowers the stakes for future stories.
So how do they handle that?
Writers usually address it by introducing limits, like maybe its energy gets depleted after a massive use, or they emphasize that it only works under very specific conditions, extreme need, absolute worthiness. You can't just whip it out for any problem.
Which brings us right back to that worthiness idea. That feels like the most consistent thread through everything, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah. The worthiness criterion is maybe its most constant and honestly most resonant theme.
How so?
Because unlike a lot of other powerful artifacts in fiction, the Matrix actively chooses its bearer. And it chooses based on moral character, selflessness, courage, nobility.
Not just power, strategy.
It's exactly.
Think about its rejection of Sentinel in Transformers 1 versus its acceptance of Optimus, or even Sam Witwicky sacrificing himself. It makes a clear statement. This focus on moral strength over raw power or cleverness, it really elevates the Matrix. It makes it more than just a tool. It's a test of character. A symbol of what true ethical leadership looks like in any world, really.
So, wrapping this up for you, our listener.
Yeah.
What does it all mean?
We've journeyed through the matrix of leadership's really enduring, multifaceted nature across all this diverse Transformers lore. We've seen its divine origins tied right back to Primus, holding the wisdom of the first primes. We've seen its different looks, its dynamic powers. It's always a pivotal element, isn't it?
Absolutely. Its abilities are just unparalleled. Giving life, resurrection, manipulating energy, and being the only thing that can stop a Unicron. It highlights how incredibly significant it is.
Yeah.
And even though the stories diverge, G1's weapon, Beast Era's afterlife concept, Bay versus Key, that core theme, stays pretty consistent. The Matrix is always this potent symbol of hope, of justice, of worthy leadership.
So here's the final thought, maybe. What does it truly mean that in a universe full of giant transforming robots, the ultimate power doesn't just give you strength or knowledge, but it actively chooses based on your moral character? What does the Matrix's constant demand for worthiness teach us about real leadership? Not just on Cybertron, but, in any world facing its own darkest hour. It leaves us with a pretty important question, I think, to mull over long after this deep dive ends.